Welcome back to Blaster Master 02. This is fortunately not a Mega Man game, so it's just kind of a sequel, naming-wise.
So we mentioned 02, so that means that all those fans of that pink-haired anime girl from that anime I don't know the name of are gonna love this game, right?
Yes, the one that keeps showing up whenever you search for your Kirby boss.
Yeah, it's like I'm looking at all this nightmare fuel on Google Images whenever I type in 02, and then there's also this abomination with a bleeding eye that's on YouTube Images as well.
Yeah, it's not a good show.
I mean, I'm just joking because, haha, your waifu's trash, but what made
it's not
bad?
A good. Okay, it's mostly just it squandered every missed potential it had, and then it got really stupid in the second half.
So the typical anime problem then. Oh, well.
More or less.
Has anime been, good lately? I have not paid attention to the world of anime in a long time.
If you can get past the overabundance of isekai, generally, yeah, there's good stuff.
Oh, isekai has gotten stupid popular for the past few years.
It's been stupid popular for 10 years thanks to Sword Art Online, and they won't stop.
Yeah, but I think it's only been the past few years where you've seen it in mainstream bookseller stores like the manga and stuff like that.
That is so weird because Sword Art Online itself is not very isekai on a technical level. So
it's ordinary people going to magical fantasy worlds and doing stuff you can't do in real life.
Well, yeah, but the actual structure of the series is more focused on jumping from game to game with every story arc, so it doesn't really adopt the qualities of isekai anime until Alicization, 3 seasons in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm well aware of that. It's just, unfortunately, it's kind of the one that started the trend for various reasons.
How harem-y is Sword Art Online?
Extremely harem-y.
Extremely, okay.
It's got that...
He doesn't get with every girl, per se. He's fairly faithful to Asuna, which that's one of the rare points I will give the show credit for.
It's kind of got that...
But every girl is in love with him.
It's kind of got that has your cake and eat it too aspect of the fantasy, where the main character is fairly earnest and doesn't actively lust after all these girls, but it still gives the audience the power fantasy of projecting themselves onto a main character who is the object of attention for all of these girls at once. So it's that kind of wishy-washy version of the harem fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I guess I never get why all of these anime girls who clearly could get anybody they want all fall in love with this dumb doofus.
Because
that's every harem anime is like that, but
because it's brazen wish fulfillment.
Yes, the main character is meant to be just a generic stand-in for the audience, the target audience of the show.
Yeah,
it's not particularly subtle.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. Oh, I forgot how cute you are when you crawl and how slow it is when you do.
I mean. It's not especially unique to Sword Art Online. SAO.
Oh no, there's stuff like that in every thing.
Era.
There's plenty of cop shows, for example, where the generic sort of tired cliche is, oh, you've got the male cop and the female cop. Do they get together? Do they like each other? Will they? Won't they? Ooh, which. I think the most famous of that is, it's not really a cop show, but X-Files. That's actually one thing that I appreciated Law & Order SVU for, is that they had Elliot and Olivia, and they very clearly are just friends, and they never really imply any romantic stuff going on throughout the entire series, and it went on. Both characters were on the show for 13 years, and it's just thank you. I'm glad to not have the will they, won't they subplot for forever.
Every drama on TV needs to have a romance subplot, even if the show's not about that.
You see, the one thing that I do look for whenever a show, game, TV show, movie, I said show twice, whatever, shut up. One thing that I look for is when they do a romance subplot is once they finally break the will they won't they band-aid off and they do start dating. Actually, I can't think of one of these where they don't start dating now that I'm thinking, but whatever. But the way that I kind of judge a show's quality is how well they handle the actual relationship after the tension of will they start dating is over, because they do start dating.
Really rare for a show or story to progress past the point of the characters just getting into the new budding romance, though.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
pretty rare.
It's like, storytellers and audiences seem to get bored with the idea of a committed relationship, so they don't bother telling stories about it often.
So we have to wipe his memory and have him sell his soul to the devil. Okay. There we go. I hate New Day so much.
Why did I know that you were gonna bring that goddamn comic book story arc up?
Because it's like it's the poster child for, we don't want to tell stories about a married Peter Parker. We want to tell stories about young, hip Peter Parker who gets with all the ladies, even though that's not. Peter's like a big, dumb, awkward nerd who really shouldn't be, like, having sex with all of these ladies, Like, if that's the case, then he's basically just Batman but poor. So, like, why?
But Ted, don't you understand? We made a Catwoman XP, so she has to have an on again, off again relationship thing with the hero.
So one thing that I actually do appreciate about Black Cat is that Peter is more comfortable flirting with her when he's in the Spider-Man persona than he is with other girls, like when he's just Peter, which I think is kind of cool because you see the character be in a different mental state when they're in the costume and out of the costume, which is neat. But yeah, no, Black Cat is probably the most shameless character Marvel has ever made.
I mean,
or at least the only one that's a regular character, at least.
Yeah, I was gonna say each company does their fair share of copying each other. That's not a unique thing to either company. It's just Black Cat is the most brazen.
Yeah, Black Cat, like, they didn't even try with the name, I guess is the thing. It's just like, do we give our cat burglar sexy character with a does she like the hero kind of subplot? What theme do we give her? I'll just fuck it, just make her a cat. Like, who cares, right? I guess she has white hair, so that's different. Sort of. No, not really. Is this that?
No.
No. Okay.
That's much later. Ow.
Oh yeah.
Thankfully you don't instantly die.
Yeah.
Like the last game, but it still hurts all the same.
I mean, I guess it is nice for a game to acknowledge that you can't fall 10 times your height without dying, but at the same time, he's wearing a robot suit, and gravity is different because he's in space.
This is a little dumb.
Yeah, I mean, there's always been these sections in Blaster Master. You don't do what I do and drop off and try to catch myself on the ladder.
Not with 1 health, no.
Well, it doesn't matter if you fall more than four squares, you just die anyway. So
I guess, but all the same, I am not risking that.
I will say I also do like I like and don't like the structure of this game. I do like being able to get from place to place quickly, and the side planets are nice. But at the same time, I don't know how I feel about, like, the smaller explorable areas that are all the way self-contained.
I think it was a response to try and cut down on the backtracking.
Yeah, that's true. And the backtracking, I think, was something I think we probably brought up in the first game's commentary, if I remember correctly. It's been a few years.
It kind of makes you do a big left and right swingy motion as far as the progression of the first game goes.
Yeah, I guess...
Which in and of itself isn't bad, I guess, if you're doing cleanup on the way back, but you can do everything along the way there for the most part.
I have a question. Why are Sophia's clothes mutating?
Because she's a robot, so her clothes are part of her robot body?
Including the cat kneecaps?
Sure.
Okay.
Look, I'm not a robot scientist. I don't know how this stuff works.
I was about to comment on the other planets looking basically the same as the first one, but no, actually, this one's green.
Each section, each sector, you know, A, B, C, whatever, have their own kind of little motif going on.
I guess
Yeah, so the entire game doesn't look like this, thankfully.
It's mostly reused stuff for the side planets.
So that planet that we went to, where you had to like basically take damage in order to progress, that's been patched out.
So no, that's not the area that we were talking about.
That was me just being mad.
Yeah, you can get through without taking damage. You just have to like plan your
Go
platforming
slower.
a little bit better. Right. There's a section later on.
I believe it's C4, but basically you have to make it all the way into the super long section, platforming as Jason, where basically you fall off and you die. And then you get the thing, I think it was a health upgrade. You make it, and then you have to go all the way back again without dying.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
So you basically have to do the whole room twice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they patched it, and they made a patch where it adds like a ladder and some stuff. So
Okay.
you can get back easier once you actually finish it.
So this is the structure, big main planet area that's a full level, and then there are these little planets that are basically just little platforming rooms.
Yeah, and I think most of the side rooms are optional. Like they'll have like health upgrades or a ship upgrade or something.
Oh no, someone left their Animal Crossing file untouched for 3 years, and they had bamboo on their
everywhere.
island.
Now you can't walk anywhere. Your villagers are trapped inside their houses. So I guess that means that they weren't able to leave. Then they weren't able to move out if they couldn't take put their belongings on the moving truck. That's something, right? Did they bring back all the mobility stuff from the first game in this game? I'm having a hard time remembering a lot of this. Oh yeah, in this room, I think we get the jump on the walls thing for the tank, actually. Never mind.
Huh.
Yeah, but, yeah, so the structure of this game actually reminds me the most of Sonic Rush Adventure, oddly enough, without, like...
Yeah, kinda.
Without needing to grind, thankfully. Whoever thought that grinding in a Sonic game was a smart idea... Well, okay, item farming. There we go. Let's rephrase that because somebody's going to be a smartass. Whoever thought item farming in a Sonic game was a good idea needs to be told that it's not a good idea.
Clearly.
That's the one thing that's just completely holding that game back.
Are you able
Yeah.
to just talk to what's her name and the frog whenever you want?
Yeah, I think you
Yeah.
could do that in the first game too.
Yeah, it's just completely superfluous.
It's that kind of
You know,
you can
what-
talk to your party members feature that a few RPGs have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not super important, but so it's just a matter of I don't want to be here talking to, Eve and stuff every time we go anywhere.
There is a lot of dialogue, and for the most part, despite the game's plot being pretty generic, it is fairly well written, which I do appreciate. And it is also nice to have a "what the hell am I supposed to be doing" button in a game like this. Thankfully, most RPGs, from what I remember, are having the "what the hell am I doing" button added into them. And I suppose for a Metroidvania-styled game, that's also appropriate. But yeah, it's just a nice little feature to have.
I like
just so if
I
you
like
come
that there are
back after a
enemies
few
that are
days.
too low to the ground for you to actually shoot while you're in the tank. That's not annoying at all.
I guess it's supposed to make you want to climb out of the tank every once in a while. But I think the tank gameplay is really kind of the thing that most people really like the most about Blaster Master. It's certainly the focus and the selling point, I think, most of the time, is being in the tank versus overhead, and certainly over walking outside the tank, where you can't really do much of anything. I don't know. I appreciate them trying to do stuff with this overhead mechanic, because from what I can tell, it's pretty lame in the original NES Blaster Master. I didn't really mind it in Blaster Master 01. 02, I never could get the hang of the dodge thing that you're supposed to do.
It's actually not that hard. It's really just kind of you have to wait for the little reticle, when the reticle appears on him, then he can do it.
Yeah, it's just not something that ever felt natural to me, I guess. You know, I'm much more of a kind of dodge just by moving sort of person. And there are a few exceptions.
I mean, you can replace the mechanic with like a general like Mega Man X dash and stuff. So.
Oh yeah, I do remember. When do you unlock the dash?
It's one of the power-ups you can just get.
Yeah, I do remember I used the dash a lot because you move really slowly without it. So I do remember that. It's just, I feel like maybe in the future, focusing on the tank stuff might be where this series would be best.
It's one of those difficult things to do because it's, the overhead top-down stuff is partially what makes Blaster Master compared to just a 2D game where you're a tank and you jump around and stuff.
I mean, the tank kind of is fairly unique on its own, too, is also the thing. Like, there's very few Metroidvania or even just general platformer-style games that have that kind of floaty, high-jump control and also allow you to shoot in any direction at any time, which does give the game its own feel, And honestly, like, people have been kind of asking for more and more Metroidvanias these past few years. I know that Hollow Knight and Bloodstain in particular were really well received. I think not just because of this. The games are also fantastic, but I think people really do miss the Metroid Castlevania style progression and they want as much of it as possible. Oh, I forgot that there were these guys.
Oh no, I stepped on some grass.
Well, what if you avoided the grass on your way through?
Oh, no, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's the same thing.
I mean, it would have been cool if the game was reactive to that.
It is always neat when games do, keep an eye on that kind of stuff, and will have certain characters react based on how you act in the game. We were talking about Cyber Shadow earlier. In the first boss yells at you if you stab him in the back and, jump behind him in order to not take damage from his attacks. He's like, there's no honor in stabbing him in the back. And I'm like, dude, I won. I don't give a shit. So, yeah. But this was the other big thing about the game, in that there were also, other people with tanks that you meet throughout your adventure. And,
Tank World, yeah.
Yeah, Tank World. And this is the first one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they all kind of are just very simple. They have their personality trait, and that's kind of it. Characters.
Yeah.
They also have their own robotic waifu/husbandos.
Do you ever get to play as them? Because they do have their own tech.
There was a DLC campaign with the Plant Girl. Oddly enough, that kind of came out much later as DLC.
Oh, really?
I like how
it doesn't play like the actual game. It's like a different gameplay thing altogether. It's really weird.
I like how these people are talking like the term metal attacker makes sense as an important thing to call someone.
Well, I mean,
or something, as opposed to it just being two extremely generic words strung together because the Japanese don't know which words are important and which words aren't.
Metal Gear.
Even Metal Gear kind of makes more sense than Metal Attacker. That's just kind of like a name that very clearly doesn't know what names in English are supposed to sound like. Like, no native English speaker would come up with the phrase Metal Attacker and say, yeah, that sounds cool and imposing. I'm sorry. It was just really, really lame. And
okay.
I thought I would highlight that.
It should have been called Mutant Attacker.
That would actually make more sense because we fight mutants.
It would make more sense, yes. It's
There you go. You'll now join the adventures of our mutant attacker friends in the next part of Blaster Master Zero.
I mean, it would still sound fairly lame, but at least it would make some amount of sense. So,